Oh man, Dave, you might have figured out where the evil vacuum is. I wonder where it will come from.
That being said, the graveyard's actually much nicer than it was.
Strangely enough, the graveyard will be somewhat exempt because it's not technically on this plane of existence.
I mean, back when we went to the graveyard, there were corpse orgies hanging around.
Oh my god.
I don't know what you're talking about.
These
What's a
are
corpse
so
orgy
bad.
between friends?
Uh, it's the trauma that keeps on giving.
What was that? There was a game that was described as the gift that keeps on taking. It was a game that had like more and more microtransactions designed to fix the fuck ups from the previous microtransaction.
Incredible.
Anyway, when last we left our brave adventurers, yes, they escorted some children to a temple. Uh, and no one got kidnapped, and everything was basically fine. And now you're at a temple, which is also a library, which is also a university. They like to double things up in District 2.
It's also secondary school because some kids are younger too, aren't they?
Yes. They gotta get their
Right.
book learning somewhere.
And Aziz had invited us inside to rest and use the library if we so chose.
Yes. You have at your disposal a giant magical library.
I
Now,
think that it. Go ahead. Sorry.
now, Harlan, you said you wanted to look up a book on how chosen technology worked.
Mhm.
So you find one. Uh, it is. It is written from the point of view of a researcher who relied on a clairvoyant. Like it's like all of this evidence has been procured through remote viewing. So who knows? But they talk about how they mostly weren't piloted by humans. People, only those of exceptional ability were able to actually pilot chosen flying machines. For the most part, a machine spirit was enslaved to the vessel. At least that's how they call
Okay.
it.
Sounds as moral as usual for the chosen.
As
Right,
moral
par for
as
the course.
as moral as you would expect from them. Hey, we figured out how to create artificial intelligence. What are we gonna do? Enslave it.
Well, I wonder then if the dreadnought machine spirit was freed when it crashed, or if it's been trapped dormant there.
Unknown.
Well, it's a pretty massive trauma, so.
Thanks, it's the trauma. I was only destroyed. I've had 40 years to rest. That's enough time to get over it, right?
It depends if you were just resting or completely unconscious for the entire time. You wake up and feel like you're still falling.
You wake up and you still feel like you're still dead. Omae wa shinderu.
Yeah.
Any more plans? Any more ideas?
Yes, a few, but I didn't want to interrupt. No? Good?
There's
Good? Okay. Sorry,
Cap, you're the resident researcher.
I suppose I am. What do you mean? You have a positive intelligence modifier? You have a head on your shoulders? Um, no, some things that I want to um, look up actually is to see what this library has to say about any of Marduk's and Kira's like children. See if there's
Ooh.
anything more about that.
They adopted a few orphans, but they didn't have any biological children.
That much we know, but who are these orphans?
Oh, they're all dead.
Did any of them have families?
So the book you find is the gods, scions, and gods, scions, and sires. So like you learn about the scion phenomena, and there is a little note in the corner that's like, oh man, this doesn't happen anymore. See book, the fall of sciondom. But
Information that I'm trying to glean is whether these adoptive children, due to their proximity to the divine, could have a claim to the throne. Like, we know that by biological blood, the dude that the Black Hand's putting forth as candidate is, total bullshit.
right.
Like, he's not blood child of Marduk. But could he claim ancestry to one of the adopted children's families?
I think I would go so far to say that all of the adopted families were not legally adopted. Like that, in accordance to divine law. You got to get deep in the bylaws on this one. You can adopt a child as your heir, but none of these children were. They were adopted because they were adopted because like, oh hey, your father died fighting in my war. It's my responsibility to take care of you.
Okay. Another thing that Meredith would like to look for is any history of Hell Knights of Gemma.
Oh Lord. Let me think about it.
Because she hasn't run into anything remotely close to what she feels she now is.
Ooh.
So she wants to learn a little bit more history or get a feel for, like, am I something completely new?
So, in a fashion, you are something new insofar as you are on the material plane. Books describing the Hell Knight phenomena describe that a Hell Knight is a creature, like, imbued with hellish energies. And they fight by Gemma's side within hell. The fact that you are here on the material plane is not a good thing.
Not a good thing. How? Can I make some sort of religion roll to intuit?
You succeed. You shouldn't be here.
Balance?
Yeah, like demons, devils, they're not supposed to be here. If they're summoned, then that's because they are tied to the person who summoned them. Otherwise, there is just a high level of extraplanar overlay that allows them to exist concurrently on the material plane. Similarly, as a Hell Knight, like, there are plenty of people who have pledged themselves to hell and taken the Hell Knight oath and locked themselves in their armor, and then you just go straight to hell. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You get eaten by the earth and transported extraplanarly to where you're supposed to be. That's not happening to you.
For better or worse, I am where I'm supposed to be.
Right!
Which should be kind of disconcerting, about the state of the world.
Right.
Okay, so desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm gonna keep this to my damn self.
Although, now that leads you to believe people can just summon demons now. If someone wanted to, they could just open a portal to hell. There's no one there to uphold the divine law. There's no judge there's no judge behind the podium saying, "Oh, what's all this then? Gavel gavel, can't do that."
Right. The veil is much thinner than it was.
Well, I mean, Hieronius could, but he's not about that gavel gavel
Well,
life.
Of course he's not. He wants something to fight.
Exactly. What good's a holy warrior without a holy war?
Okay. So I posit the question to the others after we take some time to rest. So do you think that we should try to get some of Aziz's wisdom while we're here? On our journey, I mean.
Well, it seems like we want to stop the train, right?
Right.
And maybe we can get the dreadnought and have it do what we're talking about, but maybe we still have to stop the train. Now, maybe this stuff is too new, and Grub is the person to really talk to about it, but I mean, this chick's supposed to be the goddess of wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Goddess of knowledge. So maybe they have information on what the weaknesses of the whole train is. How we can shut it down. How we can derail it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I think that sounds like a good. Any advice is good advice. Really?
I mean, it's always easier to fuck things up than to make them work. So, if given a choice between us being able to fuck up the operation of a train or operate a really complicated dreadnought, we might be better at breaking shit. Just thinking.
And there's no telling what state that dreadnought's in after it's been buried under the sand for all these years.
Not to mention, it would just be a good idea to inform the sky, who's out in the middle of nowhere, that supplies might be a little hard to get to in a few weeks.
Oh. Let's see if Cass. No, simple. Hey, would knowing where the thrones are be a history roll or a arcana roll?
That would be either or could help you. Roll both. Because if you succeed on history, you will know where they have been. If you roll an arcana, you might be able to deduce where they are.
21 on my arcana roll. I don't have skill with history, so it would just be a straight int roll. That if I was making it.
Yes.
Okay. So 21 on the arcana. Nope, no history.
You weren't a history book learner.
When's the War of 1812?
So it could be anywhere in there, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, your history knowledge is wanting. But Arcana, like whose throne in particular are you trying to find?
Oh, the thrones, the one that's here.
Oh, what do you mean?
The thrones that connect Septemport together.
Well, they are located. Gamma Stone is probably in his Fortress of Syndetic Ascension. There, not the terrestrial fortress, the one that's in Hell that connects the Abyss to Hell.
No, the one that the ones that that
Do you mean the council?
Salandra and Clementine built, and that Holt
Those are on the
kind of
peak.
brought. That's the main one, but then there were additional ones that were created all throughout for each district. There's a separate throne. So
right,
there's
right,
a
right,
throne
right.
here,
The
here.
the Great Council there. So
Yeah.
those are in well, so yeah, there's one on the throne. There's one at the peak which remains empty. Which is just there. It's just there, sort of like a reminder. They put it there just to be like, don't forget about this. Who's sitting on it? No one, and you know why. The one in District 2 is in Aziz's temple. The one in District 3 is in Wind City, if I recall.
Yep.
The one in District 4 is... Good fucking question.
Didn't we put that in the Catfolk City with Deuteronomy?
About to say, I believe you did, which means now there's a dragon there.
Yep, that's true.
The one in District 5 is in Salandra City. The one in District 6 is with Connor. You didn't give it to him. He took it.
I mean, who else is going to take it? There, you know.
It doesn't surprise me that
Yeah.
Connor takes things.
Oh man, spoilers. Well, he probably paid them very handsomely for what was an invaluable artifact for which they could not refuse his offer.
The one in the Hell Jungle is at the big temple in the Hell Jungle.
Yes, it's at the Temple of the Hell God.
Hell God is, yeah, okay.
Which is not technically a god, they just call it a god because it's big and it's angry and it's asleep.
Small g.
Small g. Small g god, yes. Nor is it from hell. It's just made out of molten fury.
So, I mean, there's this thing here, right? Can we figure out some way of using it to help what we're doing?
Have people even used those council seats?
Oh, they used them for a while and then they sort of drifted
Fell
away.
out of vogue.
What just so I, as the player, know, these are more than just chairs, right? They're like magical in some way.
Yeah, they allow people to communicate over vast differences. It was made it so the six emissaries would be able to communicate about plans for each district.
Picture like Star Wars in the Jedi Council chambers where some people were holograms.
Yeah.
Right. So you like sit down on the chair and now you're able to talk to other people. Like who
Yeah.
are also sitting in the chair.
Yes.
Magical Zoom call.
Okay.
Yep.
I understand.
It was at the time when we thought we were going to be fighting the war and we wanted a way of coordinating our forces, but we kind of over-prepared.
You accomplished every quest. You were like, each of the four gods were like, we have these ideas. And you were like, what if we did all of them? And I'm like, well, then you extra win. What do you want from me?
We're overachievers.
Yep.
Stupid Dragon Emperor giving you a year and a day.
We still had like 200 days.
Oh, yeah, no. You had a lot of time to just chill out and hang out. And then he showed up and was like, ah, yes, you will bow and genuflect. And you all pulled out your guns. And he was like, oh, no, my bones.
It could work. I suppose it would be an expedient way for our allied districts to communicate. But
What
it
if
does...
Connor was listening in.
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was just thinking, I mean, we're here, so, yeah, I mean, we got a huge freaking artifact sitting on. Might as well do something with it if we can.
I'd say the downside of all of the chairs is that all of the people in them need to be working together, or else they become like Palantirs. We don't know who is listening.
For all we know, Connor could have someone handcuffed to that chair observing it 24/7.
Whoa. Yeah, they're handcuffed, but he paid them. They know what they were getting into. No, they didn't.
They wanted to be in that chair forever.
He paid them handsomely enough to want to do that.
Although maybe Aziz can give us some insight into the location of a different throne.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
That one.
We should probably figure that out at some point.
He might be able to at least point us in the right direction. Other than somewhere underground.
It's somewhere down there. Just have Zadru find it. He's really good at finding tunnels.
I don't know if he knows what a throne smells like.
No.
You'd have a...
It smells like butts, Zadru.
By the way, while God, my brain just stopped working. While Meredith is doing serious research, Cass is going to be looking up Catoblepus. just because she's curious about them
Oh boy, who wants a Catoblepus?
and how to kill them.
The hell is a Catoblepus?
Yeah, what is...
It's
Oh! Oh, is that how you pronounce that?
Catoblepus? I don't know. I've never actually heard anyone speak it.
Wait, do you mean a Catoblepus or a Bandersnatch?
Catoblepus.
Okay.
That was, remember Cass ran into one of those in the wilds one time.
these
Oh,
fuckers.
yeah.
So
I
it is-
recognize that Magic the Gathering art.
Yep.
yeah, that thing.
Who is ready to suffer the breath of death?
Oh yeah. They're noticeable. They're noted for wiping out villages just by breathing on them.
Oh, so they're like giant Komodo dragons.
Yeah, a lot like giant Komodo dragons. I mean, basically, they're big, they're stupid, they're bad-tempered, and they're ugly and smelly, and they're hideously dangerous.
I actually have a mini that I got 3D printed that's based on that art.
Yep, that one. That's the one that I was looking at. Was the second one.
They gave it Die Hard? Why in fuck's sake would they give it
Because you
Die Hard?
you better kill it in one hit.
You better kill it in one hit.
It gets to survive to negative 44 health.
Oh, they're awful. They're really awful.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, Cass wants to know how to kill them. So basically, if I can know if Cass can know what David knows, it'll be helpful before this is over.
Yeah, no.
He really hates Catoblepus.
The most notable thing that you find out about them is that they have no sense of smell.
I guess that makes sense.
They're not immune to odor-based abilities, but they cannot track by scent alone.
The poison of their breath is one of the nastiest poisons I've seen in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
DC 23, frequency 1 per round for 6 rounds, effect 1d6 con damage. You have to save 3 times in order for it to stop.
3 times consecutively.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That's really bad.
That I'd
That's
say.
really
good
bad.
fucking luck.
I would have to roll an 11 or more 3 times in a row.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they're CR12, so by the time we're 12th level, they should be okay. But they're still nasty.
Dear Lord. Is there anything else you wanted?
I'll also do some research into secret places of the wild and see if I can find anything there. But I'm not expecting.
Oh, all of the books about the wilds are heavily redacted.
Yeah, that's right. You said that they were that essentially the elves stole them.
Yep. The elves have wrought some sort of spell. Well, so you can't make it so books can't go into Bokob's library, but you can make it so they go in wrong. So yeah, there are all the books of the wild are so heavily redacted that they're basically useless.
Damn. Same thing in the in at the library in Wind City.
Very protective of their secrets.
Can I look up another book?
Absolutely.
I would like to look up a history of worker and peasant revolts in Septemport.
Ooh.
Just for ideas.
There have not been too many of those. There was the liberation of the Hell Jungle. The Hell Jungle used to sort of like be a colony of District 6, and they were like, "Nah, we have a Hell God. Fuck off."
Is Harlan supporting the Marxist socialist interpretation of Marduk?
He fucking might be.
I will comment the fact that Marxists are atheists, but you know, I can roll with it.
I mean, Marxists are atheists and Marduk's dead, so it all works out, right?
Yeah, you can square that circle.
Turns out Marduk was a real person and not a figurative god that didn't exist.
I mean, yes. Like the Marduk who fought in the Battle of Seven Winds is not the same Marduk who became a god. The Marduk who fought in the Battle of Seven Winds lived, married an angel, and then died. And then the creator fashioned an approximation into the form of a god. Similar thing happened to Gemma. Gemma did not survive the Battle of the Seven Winds. No, he died. The motherfucker died. He ate 2 swords to the gut and got fucking bisected like goddamn Darth Maul and fucking fell down a pit.
Small lived.
Shut up. And then the creator was like, "Oh man, I can't let this character go to waste.
I could make a religion out of this.
I can make a religion out of this." And then Kira was like, "Well, now that my husband is dead, I'm going off to space." And he was like, "Cool. I technically own your likeness because I created you, so I'm just gonna create another you for my own purposes." And then Dogo just made another of himself because that's just a thing he can do.
Well, you didn't want to let the creator have all the fun.
No, of course not.
So there's actually a real Kira out there somewhere. I didn't know that. I thought she had died too.
Oh,
And she has a grave. She does have a grave in the graveyard.
Yep. I mean, she might be dead.
Rumors of her death seem to be greatly exaggerated.
That grave is symbolic.
I'm about to say, is the grave symbolic as she went to the stars? Is the grave real because they heard of her death and they made a grave because they didn't know what else to do? Unknown. These are all very good questions. And unfortunately, the answers to these questions cannot even be found here in a library.
Yeah, Cass wouldn't be asking those questions. She's more curious how to kill Calablapus.
I don't want to learn what happened to this goddess. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to make dinosaurs.
I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
I mean, it's not that she doesn't want to do good stuff; it just doesn't occur to her.
No.
So,
yeah, and then there were a bunch of revolts in District 6. A lot. Like, there are a lot.
brutally put down.
Uh,
Brutally put down.
Oh, no, like it. There was sort of like a warring kingdoms sort of thing for a while, and then there was like a reformation and a reconsolidation, and then Connor came.
We'd call it varying degrees of success.
And then when Connor showed up, that's when everything turned into brutally put down rebellions. Although occasionally he would toy with a rebellion, letting it grow and more powerful, just so that he could crush it in an even more fantastic fashion.
So Harlan, basically, I mean, you're actually thinking of, like, making a god of justice actually be just instead of supporting the hereditary rulers? Is that allowed?
Don't you think it's time for something new?
I mean, yes. I just didn't think gods would be part of it. I mean, frankly, they just seem like their entire job is upholding the old. I mean, they're fucking immortal, so how would they not just be about the status quo?
Mary pipes up and says, 2 problems with that. Number one, gods are what you make of them. And number 2, gods can die. You just need to know how to kill them.
Well, if you get a form of justice that isn't about, like, keeping rich people, keeping people like Meredith and I, our families in charge, then I'd be interested. I mean, I'm not really interested in the God part, but yeah, I'm interested.
Listen, as
Oh.
long as we can get you interested in the kick Connor's ass part, that's all we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Already done.
There's one other thing I want to check while I'm here. Are there any books based upon the outcasts? Like, did any of my friends actually write any of this stuff down, and is it here?
There are a few. Well, the Outcast is actually a movement more far-reaching than you might have imagined. The Outcast is a social movement that's been going on for nearly 2 centuries. People go to the wilds, and some of them find themselves and return back to society, and others remain behind to help guide others.
Right. I'm gonna get lost in that book a little bit.
Because, like, Wind City is so strict, man. Like, what if you just, like, wanted to go someplace to just do your own thing for a little while, you know?
You know?
You know? There are all these rules and all these laws. What if... Nah.
What if you just did your own thing, man?
Or you just did your own thing, man. Who's gonna stop you?
I miss the commune sometimes.
Sure, when you're not being chased down by a wild beast. I'm sure it was lovely.
To be fair, if I had gone exploring, like 50 miles off the beaten path, by several cordons of elves and kind of wandered into his territory and didn't really take the smell very seriously, it might not have happened.
Man, those elves really like their sleepy poison. You know when you will have failed to get through a cordon when you wake up in your bed and you can't remember how you got there. Can't remember a lot of things, really.
You said that This place is a school, right?
Yes.
Are there like a rotation of classes going on all hours?
There are indeed.
Would we get a chance to observe any of them?
You may if you wish.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Which classes would you be interested in shadowing?
Do they have any like martial discipline classes?
They absolutely do.
Yeah. Let me see what those combat magic kids are doing these days.
Oh, let me see if I can find an appropriately grizzled. No, more grizzled. Turn it up.
Turn up the grizz knob.
Oh, dear Lord, this might be appropriately grizzled. Let's see. Ooh, this might be even more grizzled. How high can I turn up the grizzled meter?
Salandra might have donated some money to the alma mater for to have a room devoted to the combat arts. So that's what you do.
Fuck. So I gotta go with this one. He's got big turn your chair backwards and sit in it vibes. Hey kids.
Perfect.
He is doing that pose.
He is. He's got the pose down. All right, kids. Welcome to Not Dying 101. I thought this was combat class. No. We're starting with Not Dying 101. You can graduate on to Killing 101 when you're done with that. But right now, let's focus on not dying. And like, this is a pretty basic class. Like, oh, this is how you use a shield. Don't hold it like that. That'll break your arm. Don't do that. That just kills you. And there is a whole lot more focus on like medical care than you expect. How to make basic salves, tourniquets. He's got like, all right, we are now in the tourniquet hour. I'm gonna show you how to make all the tourniquets.
Out of anything. Make a tourniquet out of your own hair.
Right, like, well, if you take a stick like this and you take some fishing line and you twist the stick around the afflicted area, you can make a tourniquet.
You could also sever the limb.
What?
You could also sever the limb.
You totally could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's lesson one with that's lesson one with this guy. Oh, and like he also talks about like how you can make a salve out of common ingredients in every district.
Alcohol. You can find it anywhere,
It's really all you need.
right? Some for you, some for the wound.
There's this beautiful thing called ethanol. It ain't just for drinking.
I didn't think that one was for drinking at all, actually.
It depends.
I've heard
It's
stories.
just a constitution roll.
Yeah, you just adapt to it. You'll drink enough poison and then you'll get used to it.
Yeah. No. My aunt is Danish, and she spoke about how doctors at a hospital during a very slow Christmas night consumed local spirits.
Of the dead?
No. They distilled medical grade alcohol into something that could be consumed.
They might have seen it as consuming the spirits of the dead before it was over, because they might have been hallucinating before dying. But
I'm just saying, dipsomancy is a perfectly unreasonable magical art.
Oh, it just reminded me of Listerine.
Ugh.
Meredith just found herself feeling nostalgic for her own schooling.
Man, this guy is way better than any of the tutors like you used to have.
Mm-hmm. Much kinder, you would say, also.
So much kinder, so much more understanding. At the same time, he's pretty gruff and no nonsense. Like, there's a, sir, I don't think that. Shut up. Like, I don't care what you think. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But no. But no. Yeah, well, I heard
But-
I don't care about what you heard.
They don't pay me to listen to your thoughts, kid.
Right.
Well, I suppose we should go get Aziz's advice. I mean, this, you know, I mean, this is all kind of sweet and stuff, but it's not that exciting.
Oh, I'm just killing time, dear. Killing time and thinking my own thoughts.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll go and meet with Aziz. He did tell us where to find him, right?
Yes, he did mention where his office was.
Oh, good. So back through the fountain
So just
courtyard.
checking before we go. Are we laying our cards on the table this time around, or are we running a game?
I think if we're gonna lie to anybody, shouldn't be Aziz.
Okay. So I just wanted to check because I'm not that great at the lying bit. I just want to, keep track of whatever story you guys have.
No yarn, no deception. I don't think it would serve us well here. I have the feeling that Aziz and Niamisa would not be allies. Which makes him a friend to us.
Jesus Christ. Grizzly Gamer Studio is creating Bara Gay Daddy Orc games.
Link?
Yeah, just send, share.
Share with the class?
This is what I get for looking up Grizzled Orcs. Oh no, Daddy Orc is a tier of supporter.
Oh, I found it.
We've
I
got
found the one Itch.io.
Twink Orcs, regular Orcs, and Daddy Orcs.
Wait a second. Twink orcs too?
Well, yeah, man. Of course there are Twink Orcs. I mean, they're more manly than you or I, but...
I mean, I guess it's Snaga.
It's all relative.
Snaga passes for a twink.
Oh, that's fun. These folks look like they're having a good time.
Which is
Good for
really
them.
what's important. So, you guys go to Aziz's office.
Yes.
Do you knock on the door?
Of course.
Come in.
We enter.
Oh, it's
Close
you.
the door behind. Yes. We availed ourselves of your marvelous library, but we have some questions that we think would be better answered by you if you have the time.
If only we could... Now, you know what? Never mind. We tried transposing a human being into a book once. They were very old. It was their idea. It did not work very well.
No.
No. Very no.
I imagine it would be a feeling of being constantly dusty.
Not quite. The problem was how completely, terribly disorganized the book was.
You have a lot of pages too, I would think. I mean, that'd be a lot.
You're not wrong.
I just remember the book we found in the last campaign that was everything.
Yep. The complete unabridged history of Septemport, volumes 1 through 7.
Yep.
And I do mean completely unabridged. Everything by everyone. Not
Criteria, mitosis level.
Right, like not differentiating between important and mundane events. Very tiny print.
Didn't it like break someone's brain trying to read it?
Well, I think you found it having like there was like a corpse next to it of someone who had tried reading it.
Yeah, Solandra really couldn't, which frustrated her. It just like it required a wisdom check. Wasn't a good look on her.
No, because you had the trick to the unabridged history of Septemport Volume 1 through 7 is that you just need to like figure out how to skip to the interesting parts, and that just takes more patience than Solandra ever had.
So, I mean, I guess we're here looking for advice.
Well, what's the nature of the problem? I don't think you're coming to me with girl trouble or boy trouble.
No, not exactly.
Ah.
But more fate of the world trouble.
Ah, so something less complicated. Go on.
Yes, thank goodness. We're not the only ones seeking to place someone on Marduk's throne.
So I've heard.
But we do think that we have the best claim. Better than this never ever anyway. He's a front.
I
By someone
suspected
who
it.
seeks to control the throne.
I suspected as much.
But
Actually-
we realized... Yes?
Meredith, maybe Aziz can help. He might have substantiating evidence that
Just step it away for a sec.
that group is a front for Black Hand. If that's
Oh,
something we could distribute, that would be, undermine his claim a bit, right?
Oh, I doubt anyone would take what I have to say very seriously. No one outside of District 2, anyway.
Oh, I'm good, thank you. No, and unfortunately, because those bloodlines are so poorly documented, it means that they can manufacture whatever evidence they want,
You're
and
absolutely
someone's
correct.
going to believe it.
My things are like so runny and beautiful.
Even if it wasn't, nobles have been fabricating claims for hundreds of years.
Right.
Almost makes you long for... almost makes you long for might makes right.
Don't tempt me.
At the very least, then, there was no pretense. But, what exactly did you want to know?
One moment. Just reading over my notes. My brain is... I've got big brain fog today. Feel like some other people can relate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, basically, it seems like, I mean, there's Mary, but it, mm, she's one candidate, but we don't really want. From what I understand of our goals, we're trying to keep the High Priestess of Holt from making the choice and putting someone and putting a puppet in place. I mean, if Mary can step up and do it, that's great. But if someone else can step up and do it, that's great too. So I guess we're more negative. We're trying to stop Misa, and it, I think we're cooperating with Mary because she's the best candidate we've seen so far. Who wants a job? But I guess the advice is, what can you do to, what can you tell us that might point us towards where we have to go? Rona, Marduk, and all that.
Well, I know it's down below, but I imagine you know that too.
That's the extent of our knowledge, yes. But down below is an awfully big place.
It is, but what you're looking for is some place that's untouched by mortal kind. You're looking deep into the machinery of the earth. You see, Septemport, the mountain, was meant to be a spacecraft.
All right, does that mean anything? And do we have any idea what a spacecraft is?
Well, it's a craft that flies in space.
Okay. That's not alien to our perceptions at all.
I mean, it's a little alien, but you're like, okay, all right, what? Like when someone says submariner, you're like, well, I know what those two pieces of language mean.
Are you saying that the mountain is not a mountain?
Oh no, this was all fabricated.
What about the wilds? That doesn't make any sense. They can't be fabricated.
What about the what?
The wilds.
My dear, are you familiar with the science of botany?
They tried to teach it to me, but I kind of dropped out around that time.
Well, let me
I
say,
picked some stuff up on my own.
you can make a wilds on purpose. And it was so. For the most part, nearly all of us here were created deliberately. I suppose you're the first, in a manner of speaking, accidental generations.
Accidental as in this experiment has lost control?
No. Before the coming of the Dragon Emperor, everything that happened in Septemport was created specifically to create a desired result by the creator himself. When the Dragon Emperor was defeated, that result was achieved. As such, his guidance, his desire, his will no longer plays a part in who we are and what we do.
So you're saying that people didn't have free will before, but now they do?
Let me put it this way. How do you know that someone isn't controlling all of your actions right now?
I guess it feels like they're not, but there's no way for me to prove it.
Exactly. Your belief in your own self-determination could have been programmed by another entity. The creator was that entity.
Well, that kind of sucks.
Only metaphysically.
Try not to think about it too hard.
Only metaphysically. As I said, there is no way to determine whether it was happening or not. Was that bolt of inspiration? Did it come from a god or a spirit, or from the sparking of your own mind? You'll never know. And, as your friend said, best not to think about it.
Oh, she's my sister.
Ah! Your sister, then. Oh, how could I have missed it? The resemblance is uncanny.
No, I certainly hope not.
So
And,
she's
like-
not a friend.
And like he dips an eyebrow like got some bad news about that resemblance. No, we look very different. But do you?
You trying to tell me that all ASMR look the same?
No, but sisters do.
That's true.
The shiny black hair, the gold eyes, the kind of, well, the skin's a little bit different, but sharp face, cheekbones.
That's true.
Abraham Lincoln and his cheekbones.
Family trait.
But
So
anyway,
the throne is somewhere in the machine roots
yes,
of the mountain.
the very heart of the machine. As deep down as you could possibly go. Before you started reaching actual crust and mantle.
So you were saying before that Marduk, or actually, was that Aziz saying there was out of game? The whole thing about Marduk not being the original Marduk.
No, that's something that you, oh, geez.
From Slender's book?
Yeah, about to say, that was in Solandra's book. Just like, oh, yep, they weren't real. They weren't the real entities. They were carbon copies. Couldn't tell them apart. Exactly the same.
So, when you say no one has ever been there, you really mean that, right? Because, like, even Marduk hasn't really been there because he was just a construct, a kind of god golem.
In a manner of speaking, yes. Not since it was constructed has any physical presence actually been there. Marduk was always a lonely person. Being lonely is part of who he is.
I glance over at Mary. Hmm.
And then Aziz remarks, another sign that Ever Never is a usurper.
Oh, this is kind of an interesting question. Mary, you might get a little pissed off with it, but I think it's something we should know about. What do you know about what's the name of that monk guy, the unclean one, war criminal? Erlon. What do you know about Erlon? We've run into him, and he says he's in the redemption business. But was he running a game on us? Is he like trying to do something the same as me and Nisa?
And like he just opens his eyes wide and he's like, he's still alive.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we can tell.
No. I don't think he's trying to do anything like that. He doesn't have the power to do that.
So, the whole redemption thing's for real, you think?
No. I don't trust that man. I don't trust like that. I don't think he's trying to put a god he can control on the throne, but I don't think he does anything for a good reason.
Good to know.
I'm familiar with those who walk away from Amalius, and he is not.
Walk away from who?
Are you familiar with the thought experiment, those who walk away from Amalius?
No.
Okay, so let's say there is a kingdom or a city-state, whatever, called Amalius. And Amalius is just fucking great. Everybody's got enough food to eat. Everybody's got a job to do. Everything is so fucking dandy in Amalius. And when you turn 19, the elders of Amalius are like, okay, we need to let you in on a secret because we all promised that we would let everyone know about what's secretly going on in Amalius once they become a certain age, and you're old enough to see it. So they take you down into the secret labyrinthine catacombs beneath Amalius, and down there is a bizarre machine that torches a child all day. forever.
It's
It's by Ursula Le Guin.
it kind of reminds me of Snowpiercer in that way.
Yeah.
Everything's fine and dandy on the train, and then you get to the fucking head compartment, and guess what? You're using children as train parts.
Right. Those who walk away from Amalius posits that the only moral thing you can do is walk away. Because if you
Right.
were to free the child, you would ruin the civilization and cause so much widespread suffering of everyone who lived there. And if you decided to remain in Amalius and work there, then you would benefit from the unspeakable torture of an innocent. So the only moral solution is to leave. You can agree with that, you can disagree with that. It's a thought experiment. Aziz is just making the argument that Erlon could have walked away from the Dragon Emperor a long time ago, but he didn't.
Hmm. Well, that means. Well, it means we have something else to worry about, I guess.
Yeah, I don't exactly like that we left him behind in the World Bazaar and have no idea what's happened to him since. I'd like to believe that he's capable enough to escape capture.
Did you see the way he beat up Mary? I don't think anyone's getting a hold of him.
It's true.
Between
Almost
that, his empty step and his etherealness, no, laying a finger on him is very difficult.
Unless the lady herself gets involved.
That's a fight I would like to simulate. Hello, I am an 18th level cleric. Hello, I am a 17th level monk. Baza, 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 baza.
Can I get tickets to that fight?
I'd fucking... If no one sells the Black Hand is gonna sell tickets.
Good.
Don't... Be careful if you're in the splash zone. Half the audience is gonna end up petrified. I'm just saying.
They knew what they were signing up for.
Yeah, they know what they signed up for.
You signed the
It's
waiver
in
and
the fine
everything.
print.
Yeah.
Well, buying a ticket is signing the waiver.
Right, you have to, yeah. Well, like, you couldn't have the ticket without the waiver, so.
Right, exactly. Like when you buy the ticket, there's like a whole like, oh, you know, you're accepting all of these things. And you're like, what? Huh? Fuck off.
I want to see a cool fight.
Interesting intelligence test. An arena battle between a Medusa and anybody else. It's like you sell tickets to it. And like, but wait a second, what's going to keep us from turning to stone when we look at the Medusa? Oh, well. That were an award.
Yep.
That's one way to get hard.
I seek immortality. I will give it to you.
Stone doesn't live forever.
Stone of
Now,
flesh.
I feel like we know what's at stake. We know that the world is out of balance, and if we don't restore a god to the throne of Marduk, things are going to be bad. But maybe you could help us understand it a little bit better, so that when we go seeking allies, we don't have to just say, feel it in your gut, you know something's off in the world.
Unfortunately, at this point, that's kind of all you have to go on. The alternative is allowing things to get worse, which creates its own set of problems.
Seems like most of the time when we're looking for allies, it's our gig is not like actually getting them to agree that there's a problem. It's what can we fetch for them? Yeah.
Sometimes it's convincing them of not the bigger problem, but like a little problem that has to do with like the bigger problem. Like we haven't convinced damn near anyone like to the whole like as a bigger picture put someone's ass on the fucking Iron Throne, but we have convinced a lot of people to be like, hey, Connor's fucked up. You should go and fight Connor. Or like deal with Connor.
Your best bet might be pointing out what a poor god of justice that Hieronius has turned out being. If you can point to him and ask someone if that's what they want justice to be, then that puts them in a sorry situation where they either have to say yes and then you don't need to listen to them anymore, or they say no and that's your foot in the door.
It shouldn't be too hard to do. Hieronius is an abysmal god of justice.
He's pretty terrible.
It would be much better if they just called him what he is, and a god of martial might.
Oh, if only.
And even then he falls short.
About to say, for a god of martial might, he's not very good at winning, although I believe that may be deliberate. I believe there is heresy in the court of Hieronius.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes, it's the gods of injustice are arrayed against him. As a disciple of Bokab, let me just say I smell Vecna's influence. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled is teaching you that he was really rad, actually. Don't worry about it. I rule.
Don't worry, I'm the cool one here.
I'm the cool guy.
I'll let you smoke and do drugs and have premarital sex.
Yeah, be gay,
Sure,
do crime.
Be gay, do crime.
Okay, sorry. Have I ever told you guys about my favorite part of the book of Job?
No.
Like in the Bible?
Yes.
You have not.
Oh, okay. So, Book of Job, abridged version, Satan goes to God and is like, hey man, the only reason these people like you so much is because you give them cool shit. You give them blessings, and then, well, yeah, if you give them blessings, of course they're gonna worship you. And God's like, nah man, I bet they won't. Look at my main boy Job over there. Look at him. You see Job? He rules. He loves me. I love him. And I do him a solid from time to time because, you know, it just feels like the right thing to do. But you know what? I'm gonna call your bluff. I'll take your bet. I'm gonna remove the hedge of protection from Job, and you can do whatever you want to him. And I guarantee it doesn't matter because he's gonna praise God every night and day. And Satan's like, all right, cool. So he removes the hedge of protection from Job, and Satan ruins Job's life. He kills Job's family. He infects Job with a terrible plague. He kills Job's crops. He burns Job's house down. He starts a series of malicious rumors that isolates Job from his position in his greater community. And Job is lying in a hole, like, that he has been cast into with leprosy and all sorts of diseases. With all of his friends are dead. And he's just like, praise God. This is all happening for a good reason. And
Yeah, God's a psychopath.
and then Satan is like, well, God, I guess you won. Shit. All right, you were right. These people do really love you. And now, it would be like kind of fucked up that like God let this happen to make a bet with Satan. Like, fucking, you ain't gotta prove nothing to him. But it would be trivial for God to just snap his fingers and undo all of the harm that's been done. And he does. But he doesn't give Job back what he lost. He gives Job a bunch of new stuff. He doesn't restore Job's house. He gives him a new house. He doesn't restore Job's dead family. He gives him a new wife and kids. New wife, better than the old wife. And that's the part I love. Just like, nah, man, I could bring your wife and son and kids back to life. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna upgrade it. What the fuck?
These ones are new and also better.
Right. Like, holy shit.
I would imagine that he like remembers his past ones as well.
Oh yeah, no, dude, like Job's memory has not been erased. He's totally psyched about having a new wife and children.
The thing, if I remember correctly, I haven't read it in a while, but it wasn't Satan who did that stuff. It was God himself who did everything. Satan didn't do anything. He wasn't even an evil force in the book of Job. He was simply some angelic force that talked to God and said, "Yeah, I bet you're." Essentially, he was the adversary, the cynic, and God was the one who took all of those actions, and did everything bad to Job. At least that's how I remember the story. So it's not even like there's an evil force out there. It is more like God is choosing to do all this stuff on his own.
Dear God, Jesus Christ.
He wasn't around yet.
So, yeah, that's why the book of Job sucks.
Oh, it's completely twisted.
It's so fucked.
I mean, it's not the most twisted story in the Bible, but it's right up there. I mean, I've got to say that the most twisted story in my mind is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where the angels visit Saul, and essentially a crowd had seen the angels enter, and a crowd comes outside and is shouting that they want to see the visitors from out of town. And Job, responds to them and says, "These men are my guests. They're under my protection. But you may take my daughters who are virgins and do with them as you will."
Yep.
And it's like, what? And Job is a just man, by the way.
Right, no, he's good. This is the good guy. Job rules.
This is the guy they say over and over again. It's so good. He's offering up his daughters to a mob so that they won't bug the VIPs from out of town.
That kind of energy is like how I picture a lot of these stories of Hyronius.
Oh yeah, no. That's big Hyronius energy right there. Just the dumbest and like most cruel possible decision. The most callous decision.
Yeah, and he also ends up having sex with those daughters while he's drunk, I think, after his wife turns her pillar of salt. So he's a just man, though.
He's a just man. Well, wasn't that Noah? Whatever. The point is,
Noah was masturbating, and Ham walked in on his father and laughed at him, and it was like, Dad, you're jerking off, and Noah cursed Ham to be forever below his brothers because of that.
Right.
And that was used as an excuse for institutionalized racism for a very long time.
Right. The point is, there is definitely a person who gets drunk and fucks his daughters and like, nah, man, that's good. That's just. He's a good guy.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
And like, that's Hyronius. That's Hyronius in a nutshell. Well, if you're drunk, you can't control yourself. And it's like, bitch, what?
Could you say that again, but slowly?
Have you been drunk before?
Like, it reminds me of a guy who was like, oh, I get kleptomaniacal when I get drunk. And we were just like, then don't fucking drink anymore, dude. Like...
My brother in Christ, you ingested the alcohol.
Right, like, you can just not drink. And if you don't drink, then you won't steal anything. Like... Anyway, so you guys are talking to Aziz and getting a crash course in how fucked up Hyronius is. Oh, and whenever anyone does something egregiously bad, well, that they're not a real follower of Hieronius. A real follower of Hieronius would never do that. But he wears the holy symbol. Yeah, whatever, shut up.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Oops, sorry guys. I'm looking up something.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
But all that to say, it's our intention to push back against Connor. Cleverly and violently. Decisively, shall we say.
Sounds like a good idea.
plan
Unfortunately, all the more disgustingly, he would probably welcome it. He enjoys when you do this, he is going to offer to hire you. Do not accept the deal.
I wouldn't dream of it. I don't think that there's anything he could offer me that I would be tempted by.
I am of the opinion that there comes a point, everybody has a price.
Mm.
You might think you don't, but when you see all those zeros, the thought of how much good you can do with that will enter your mind.
You misread me, Aziz.
Fair enough.
I guess I have a question. Who's smarter? Aziz? I'm sorry, not Aziz. Connor or Neomesa? Because who's playing who? Because wouldn't Connor want throne for himself?
Do you know how much power he'd have to give up to become a god?
Would he want Neomesa to be holding the reins of a god?
Why would he care? The
you're
worse the
saying-
world becomes, the more people will have to rely on him. He wins no matter what. He can capitalize on any situation.
So they might both be getting what they want.
The thing about Connor is because of who he is and how he operates, no matter what you do, he will be able to profit from it. Well, unless you eliminate the idea of scarcity, but not too many people are too interested in that. And Mary's like, I am! I like that. Eliminating scarcity sounds good.
How high up in the list of priorities has it been for you up till now?
I mean, up until this very point,
Yeah.
I hadn't considered it until he just said it.
Yep. Okay.
But you heard it, you knew you wanted it, and that's why we're rooting for you.
Yep.
Your instincts are good.
So, yeah. Most people, as he's like, most lords are not interested in eliminating scarcity because it is only from scarcity from which they derive their power.
I'm just thinking of Connor's very unique position in that he's outlasted a abnormally high number of gods.
Well, he's only been a scourge on our plane of existence for 500 or 600 years.
So he's seen the beginning and end of the previous pantheon.
No, he missed the beginning of it, but he did witness the end.
Who made him anyway?
Hmm?
Who made them?
One of my students. He thought he could create a machine to help him live forever. He was wrong.
Tragic.
Thinking about the little skeleton that fell out when we put the mirror in.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back before the gnome died, Connor was just the gnome. And he was like, this will extend my life. Extend does not mean never die. And then without his instruction, Connor didn't know what to do.
He figured it out.
He did. He figured out, oh boy, I sure do love killing. Fucking hashtag Crumbopulous Michael.
I'm just not sure why Kira's mirror turned him into such a dick.
It did as much as it could do.
Think of how bad he was before.
Yeah, true.
It
The
allowed
bar was at the
him.
bottom of the trench.
It allowed him to recognize reason. So he has no ability to feel. Because he has no ability to feel, the mirror can't make him feel things. It can only make him think things. And
Or
if
understand feelings.
right. Which means if you enable something to think with perfect logical reason and it can emulate feelings but cannot feel them, you have created a psychopath. That is textbook definition.
So lawful neutral with evil tendencies as opposed to chaotic evil.
Exactly.
Plus,
And like, if you go too far down the lawful neutral lane, face it, you're really lawful. Face it, you're really lawful evil. There's a skill book in Icewind Dale 2 called The Big Book of Adventuring, and it's got a bunch of like chapters of adventuring hints and tips, like 20 things you can do with a 10-foot pole, 14 uses for the little spikes that come with a climbing kit, and the last one is face it, you're really neutral evil. But anyway, yes.
so no other kind of concrete advice for us? I mean, we're kind of doing stuff, and maybe it's right, but maybe we go in the wrong direction.
I mean, do you tell them what your plans are?
Yeah, we'll fill him in for the Moloch Express. Possibly either going through the wilds to get to Trax there, and maybe allying with the elves. We toss these concepts at him and see what his eyebrow waggle says.
Do you tell them about the dreadnought?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a killer idea. If you get the dreadnought shipping food from A to B, replacing the Moloch Express, and then you break the Moloch Express down, the man will lose his mind. Not in the bad way, just like in the, oh no, I have been defeated way.
I don't think it's something that he would see coming.
No, he can't. He does not consider the Junkers to be worthy of his sphere of influence, nor does he believe that the elves would ever cross him in such a way. But the elves don't have to cross him. They just have to allow they just need to allow crossing him to happen.
Convince them to look the other way.
Exactly.
But it's
And it's real
important-
fucking easy to do nothing.
One might go
So
so far to say that doing nothing is the easiest thing you can do. especially if you're fucking elves.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, elves are really, really good at doing nothing, from what I can tell.
Like, you know how human beings see injustice or something and they're like, I gotta do something about this. Elves? Happens much less often. Way less often. You get that 900-year view and you're just like, oh, whatever.
Oh, that person's kid died? There'll be another.
Right, like, fucking whatever. Did their accomplishments up to this point even matter? Would their accomplishments from here on out even affect anything? Oops, the long view is poisonous.
On a long enough timeline, the survival rate of anything drops to 0.
So why should we care if it drops more quickly? Elves, the biggest shrugs. POV, you called my local ecosystem undeveloped land.
But don't gnomes and elves have similar lifespans?
Oh, no. Gnomes live less long than dwarfs, but longer than halflings. And even so, our joie de vivre keeps us from the idle, complacent fatalism that elves suffer. Here's the big difference between elves and gnomes. Elves think there's going to be an end. Gnomes don't.
And then to what?
Everything.
Just existence as a whole.
Once you eliminate the concept of ends, there are no means justify the ends, because there are no ends. The elves think they can finish society. And then when they're done, they retire and they have a huge score and they go to sleep. I personally, speaking for gnomes, it never ends. There's always something to go back and tinker with. There's always some adjustment you can make. Maybe you make a different machine.
But elves basically make their great work and they're like, cool, call it a day.
Right, and then they think they're done. Or they think that they can ever become done. They're similar to dwarves in that way. But dwarves generally tend to think bigger, earthier.
Something else I'd like your perspective on, Aziz.
By all means.
What do you see the Hell Jungle's role in this gambit being? They're a part of Septemport. I've heard people talk about it as the unofficial 7th district.
Yes. They're
And so,
all too often forgotten. Not unlike the Junkers themselves. You give them some attention, they'll be very grateful. Ever since the whole council experiment broke down, they've been a little cross about the whole thing.
Meredith looks to Psalm and Durs and just asks, is that true?
I personally don't know that, so what would Sam know about that?
That sounds accurate. Like all of the districts inside the mountain proper, they're always wheeling and dealing and doing their things. With the Hell Jungle, like, no one goes out there. It is often beneath consideration like, think about all the interconnectivity between the districts. We've got the Moloch Express and the graveyard and the catacombs. And, you know, a whole bunch of, like, trade going between the districts. Hell Jungle ain't got none of that. They're fucking Space Australia.
Right.
Yeah, it's a part of things, but we don't talk about it. Australia is a part of the United Kingdom, but we don't think about it.
Right. It might as well be like nothing.
Right.
I like back to Meredith and I say, we might as well not exist for the rest of the world. I mean, no one's really seen someone like me. You've seen me walk into countless inns and other places and everyone gawk and stare. No one knows who people from the Hell Jungle are.
And that's the way they like to keep it. Because if they admit that you exist, they have to admit that they're complicit in your existence. They look away from you like they look away from orphans and beggars. For the exact
More like-
same reason.
More like savages.
That's the confusion. I understand how you might think that. But it's a similar reaction, but it's not the same.
Maybe for people with more simplistic opinions.
Do you know what it is that makes the Hell Jungle the Hell Jungle?
No.
And he, like, toddles over to a giant, like a window blind, and just, like, pulls it down and has, like, an entire diagram of, like, the mountain, and, like, it's got a bunch of arrows and lines going all over it.
So like the map.
Right. And he's just like, you see,
Can I get a copy of this?
what? Yeah, sure, why not?
Do you have them gift shop? Okay.
And like he describes how there is like climate control systems and like mostly like the climate control systems that keep the district separated, as well as the machinery that's quote unquote warming up to take the mountain into space. They produce a sort of magical exhaust, and it floods out into the Hell Jungle. That's why they're mutants. And the Hell Jungle's got like dinosaurs and a Hell God and shit.
So Hell Jungle is around Septemport, but it isn't on Septemport.
The creator considered it to be immoral to dump the exhaust into anything that wasn't also a part of the mountain.
Okay, interesting. I do have one other really, really crazy question.
Sure.
Maybe I just listen too much in philosophy classes and stuff. Does it have to be one ass that sat down in that throne?
I think technically yes. Deities are sadly singular entities.
Why couldn't you, like, use the power of the throne to empower a group of people, say selected, by election, and have it be a rotating group, so it's not like one person acquiring infinite power over time? I mean,
Maybe, but that's going
you're
to
just talking-
create a very divided deity.
okay. Better than a bored archaic deity who doesn't keep up with the times and keep up with the concept of what justice means for each generation, because it's going to be a little different, right?
Is it?
Oh.
Let me show you something. Let me bring out my boat. And he like pulls out a little model boat, and he's like, "All right, everybody, let's assume that this boat is going where we want it to go. So who's going to be the captain?
I will.
I'll be captain.
No, too late. Meredith
Wait,
already
They
claimed
say at
it.
the same time.
So Meredith gets to be the captain, and you get to choose where the boat goes. Now, if everybody here on the boat doesn't like where the boat is going, they can kill Meredith and take over the boat.
In theory.
In theory, we could try. But the alternative is we each get a hand on the boat, and we each try to guide it to where it needs to go. That might be the more just solution, but in the end, none of us are going to end up happy.
It's like you guys have never heard of the concept of Twitch plays Pokemon.
Oh, let me get my Helix fossil. Lord Helix, guide my path.
Ah, those were simpler days.
Holy shit, I love that stream so fucking much.
I don't know. I mean, I've been in situations where people pulled together correctly, and the right people did the stuff that they needed to do, and things just got done because they needed to be done, and you had the right people to do the right jobs. I mean, it broke down and it fucked up over time, but I can see it working long term.
The problem is finding the right people and keeping and maintaining more of the right people once the
Yeah.
die.
I'm about to say, how many asses do you intend to put on this throne? Any more than 3, and I don't think there's even a stone's throw chance of it working properly.
Okay, just thinking. I mean, it's, you know, my friends and I tend not to like the idea of, like, you know, kind of hereditary rule and things never changing, and a god's kind of a perfect representation of
Oh,
that
no.
type of-
Gods are not too difficult to change at all if you know what you're doing.
You just change the beliefs of their followers.
Yes.
Well, it kind of sucks for the god.
It does.
Doesn't
That's
it?
why not a lot of people want to take up the mantle. It comes with chains.
As a living embodiment, you are subject to the whims of your believers, just as much as they are subject to your whims. It's easy to assume that the flow only goes one way, but it doesn't. The most stable gods are the ones with the most stable concepts, the simplest ideologies. The more complicated a god becomes, the easier they are to pervert and send off in wild directions. If you need any more examples, you can only look at the clergy of Hieronius again. Fucking, what's that line from Fallout New Vegas? If you want to see the fate of democracy, just look out the window.
God, what a good game.
Was that the Pit DLC again?
No, that's Mr. House.
Oh, that's New Vegas. Okay.
Yes. You know what? Mr. House might be the greatest villain in all of video games. I say that because I'm not sure he was.
It's that doubt that makes him the good one.
What?
It's the doubt that you have that he's not the greatest villain that makes him the greatest villain.
Right, that's the thing. Well, it's not just the doubt that he is the greatest villain. It's the doubt that he was a villain at all. Like,
Listen, man, I'm just saying, Magneto was right.
There was a fucking Twitter post or something about, like, you know, I'm starting to side with a lot of the villains in these stories. Because, like, they're right most of the time.
I'm just saying, Killmonger had some really interesting points. He went off the deep end, when he took over Wakanda there, but he
But
had
till then, like, I was listening.
he had bad results with great arguments. And that's
So
what
wait
makes
a second. Hold on. Are you telling me that the MCU is in fact an actor of a fascist state and is in fact turning their leftist and revolutionary characters into one-dimensional villains.
I don't know.
I don't know what you're
Uh,
Hmm.
I don't know so much about.
Redacted.
I mean, the villain, quote unquote, villain of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was.
Was a literal left. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now, admittedly, they were fairly sympathetic to her, but she definitely, they definitely showed her going off the deep end in a way that didn't seem in character with what you'd seen of her before. So, when she started
Yeah.
blowing people up in like, where did that come from? She wasn't blowing people up before. She's just sort of randomly starting to do it.
They didn't meet their explosion quota, you see.
Yeah.
But also, we can't have a nuanced villain because what if we think that they actually do have a good idea?
Plus, if they have a good idea, then the military won't fund our budget anymore.
Oh no! Fuck!
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know if Magneto is right, but I know he ain't wrong.
Well, I mean, the problem with the MCU Thanos' plan is that it's just like, obviously, you just get rid of half of things, it's not gonna last. I mean, the Earth's population of humans was half what it is now when I was a kid. So it's, it doesn't take very long for that to change. But in theory, like I remember at the beginning of Avengers Endgame, they were saying that they were seeing whales show up in the Hudson Bay because essentially the pollution had gotten so much better. And it's Thanos is right in principle. Reducing the amount of people does solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, but it also creates a bunch of problems. Well, I feel like it's okay for Thanos to be stupid and wrong because that's his comic book character. Like, he always does something extraordinarily stupid.
He's trying to impress his girlfriend is like the
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's just trying to one up death. So
No, it's literally that Jim Starlin when he created the character was using the Freudian concept of Thanatos, which is self-destruction.
Yeah.
So I mean, the idea is the fatal flaw of Thanos is that if he's not fighting, the main enemy he's fighting is himself, and he will always beat himself, and no one else will.
Like, it's not about one-upping death. Like, I think the first time he got defeated when he got the Infinity Gauntlet, like, he tried to turn into, like, this ethereal, universe-spanning titan, and then Gamora just took the gauntlet off him while he was absent from himself. And, like, yeah, dude, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen? They're all right here fighting you, and you're gonna, like, become the Avatar? Are you fucking stupid? And yes.
Yes, it happened to him before with the Cosmic Cube, where he turned into a universal entity, and then Captain Marvel just smashed the Cosmic Cube, and he got, and that was it.
Right, like, he always does this. That's his big thing. He gets too big for his britches. He thinks too big, and is like, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not so smart.
I mean, really, what can you expect from the man that sunburned his butthole?
I mean, like, also he has he's just got this gauntlet that he can do whatever he wants with, and because he's stupid, he doesn't want the right things. So.
Well, in the comic book, he did a lot of interesting stuff with it, but yeah, in the movie, getting rid of half of the life forms is obviously a problem because you're getting rid of half the trees, half the resources, just for all intents and purposes. So.
Thought it
doesn't
was like
work that way.
was it every living thing?
He
had
said,
it, or was
like,
it just,
the-
like, human population.
The
Or, like,
declaration is 50% of all living things.
mm,
So
And-
I mean that's really problematic.
So half your crops, half your livestock. Wait a minute, we're back to square one here.
Hold on, where's
Yeah.
where's half my gut flora? It's gone.
so
That's why
like
they had to do a time skip.
right.
And-
So instead of doing that, he could have just like doubled all the resources and actually accomplished what he wanted to do.
Yes, absolutely. But he's not smart enough for that. And, like, I feel like somebody says that in the movie. And if they didn't, they should have. They could just be like, well, just double all this shit. And he could be like, it would never work. And then that clearly shows that, oh no, Thanos doesn't want to help anybody. He's just fucking stupid. Like, he suffered the trauma of the death of Titan, and he's like, no. I know how to fix it. I had the right idea before, and I refuse to acknowledge that I might have been wrong.
I really thought it was like that, but maybe also the fact that he wanted to like date death or whatever.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean, in the comic
Two
books, he
things can be
definitely.
true.
Yeah, but I mean, in the comic books, the other thing is he's kind of.
Or just like saying like the snap specifically, like wasn't
He
that
actually
like
just likes killing people. I mean, it's really, they play it down in the movies, but on some level, Thanos just likes killing shit. And
Right.
so it was fun. He killed half the things in the universe. It was a rush, man. So, and the fact that he had a reason for it.
Well, the reason just makes him feel morally superior while he's feeling fucking jazzed.
Yep.
You like jazz?
You like jazz?
Okay.
There's
so
only one
should
thing
we
that
pick-
could make my there's only one thing that could make my anger feel better. Righteous anger.
Oh, righteous anger's great. I don't know if you guys saw the meme I posted on Facebook about the from Network. The mad as hell, but I'm not gonna take it anymore. I love it when people post that meme and have no clue what it actually means. I mean, I don't love it. I think it's really awful and stupid, but it's like, I know they're doing it again. Oh, righteous anger. Not realizing that righteous anger is the whole thing the movie's about not doing.
Right.
Like,
Righteous anger usually just makes things worse. It feels great though, doesn't it?
It feels great. It really does feel great.
So Reynolds.
An awesome like one of those like feeling wheels. And this one was like mixes of feelings, and righteous anger being the meeting of joy and rage.
Yo, yes.
Okay, we should probably leave these alone and get
Yeah.
back to
No,
more
you can
stuff.
do whatever you want. If you have any
So
more
Reynolds,
questions,
I have a proposal.
shoot.
I don't know about anyone else here. My brain is dragging quite a lot. So what if we had a very light session and just got back to Sanctuary where Grub has our stuff?
What?
And
I'm about to say, do you want to stop by the Dreadnought before you go to Sanctuary?
I thought we didn't even know where it was at.
We don't know where it's at.
You don't know where it's at. But
Yeah,
I think
it would be best to have the Dreadnought back up and running before you shut down the Moloch Express.
Oh yeah, no, but we want to like go get our new equipment.
Fair
first.
enough. It's your time. You may spend it as you deem fit.
Yep.
Sounds
I
good.
think there was some talk about someone having the information that we need and us needing to track them down and find out how to extract it. But I don't remember.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole reason why we did this act of kindness was to endear ourselves to Oasis.
Right.
Okay.
It was a great opportunity to hit the library and a great opportunity to be like, hey, we transported your kids. We're one of you. Tell us where the Dreadnought is.
That's right. Okay, so we leave the temple of Bakob and did Fawn adieux to Aziz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so.
Sounds about
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Derzul will remain behind.
Derzul will remain behind.
He
Okay.
gets to hang out in the library.
Derzul found a very attractive couple that he's interested in.
hey guys, I know this whole adventuring thing is really cool, but like, I got this. There's this whole university. There are a lot of books. I'd like to get really good at book learning again, and there's a whole lot of really attractive young people. So I'm just gonna play the field here for a while. Good luck. Alrighty then.
There's a little very, very serious-minded and professional and direct, except when sex becomes involved.
Oh, the sex got too good. I got stupid.